Chapter 11. Then all Israel gathered themselves to David to Hebron, saying, Behold, we are your bone and your flesh. In times past, even when Saul was king, it was you who led out and brought in Israel. And the Lord your God said to you, You shall be shepherd of my people Israel, and you shall be prince over my people Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and David made a covenant with them in Hebron before the Lord. And they anointed David king over Israel, according to the word of the Lord by Samuel. David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, the same as Jebus, and the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, were there. The inhabitants of Jebus said to David, You shall not come in here. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, the same is the city of David. David said, Whoever strikes the Jebusites first shall be chief and captain. Joab the son of Zeruiah went up first and was made chief. David lived in the stronghold, therefore they called it the city of David. He built the city round about, from Milo even round about, and Joab repaired the rest of the city. David grew greater and greater, for the Lord of armies was with him. Now these are the chief of the mighty men whom David had, who showed themselves strong with him in his kingdom, together with all Israel, to make him king, according to the word of the Lord concerning Israel. This is the number of the mighty men whom David had. Jashobeam, the son of a Hachmonite, the chief of the 30. He lifted up his spear against 300 and killed them at one time. After him was Eleazar the son of Dodo the Ahohite, who was one of the 3 mighty men. He was with David at Pasadamim, where the Philistines were gathered together to battle, where was a plot of ground full of barley, and the people fled from before the Philistines. They stood in the midst of the plot and defended it, and killed the Philistines, and the Lord saved them by a great victory. 3 of the 30 chief men went down to the rock to David, into the cave of Adullam, and the host of the Philistines were encamped in the valley of Rephaim. David was then in the stronghold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. David longed and said, Oh, that one would give me water to drink of the well of Bethlehem which is by the gate. The 3 broke through the host of the Philistines, and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it, and brought it to David. But David would not drink of it, but poured it out to the Lord, and said, My God forbid me, that I should do this. Shall I drink the blood of these men who have put their lives in jeopardy? For with the jeopardy of their lives they brought it. Therefore he would not drink it. These things did the 3 mighty men. Abishai, the brother of Joab, he was chief of the 3, for he lifted up his spear against 300 and killed them, and had a name among the 3. Of the 3, he was more honorable than the 2, and was made their captain. However, he didn't attain to the first 3. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done mighty deeds, he killed the 2 sons of Ariel of Moab. He went down also and killed a lion in the midst of a pit in the time of snow. He killed an Egyptian, a man of great stature, 5 cubits high, and in the Egyptian's hand was a spear like a weaver's beam, and he went down to him with a staff, and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand, and killed him with his own spear. These things did Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and had a name among the 3 mighty men. Behold, he was more honorable than the 30, but didn't attain to the first 3, and David set him over his guard. Also the mighty men of the armies, Asahel the brother of Joab, Elhanan the son of Dodo of Bethlehem, Shammoth the Harorite, Helez the Pelonite, Ira the son of Ikesh the Tekoite, Abiezer the Anothathite, Shibkai the Hushathite, Eli the Ahohite, Maharai the Netophathite, Heled the son of Bana the Netophathite, Ithai the son of Ribai of Gibeah, of the children of Benjamin, Benaiah the Peranothite, Hurai of the brooks of Gash, Abiel the Abarthite, Azameth the Baharumite, Eliba the Shalbanite, the sons of Hashem the Gizonite, Jonathan the son of Shagi the Harite, Ahiam the son of Sakar the Hararite, Eliphal the son of Hefer the Macherathite, Ahijah the Pelonite, Hezro the Carmelite, Nari the son of Ezbai, Joel the brother of Nathan, Mibhar the son of Hagri, Zelek the Ammonite, Naharai the Berothite, the armor-bearer of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, Ira the Ithrite, Gareb the Ithrite, Uriah the Hittite, Zabad the son of Halai, Adonah the son of Shiza the Reubenite, a chief of the Reubenites, and 30 with him, Hanan the son of Makkah, and Joshaphat the Mithnite, Uzziah the Ashtarothite, Shammah and Jael the sons of Hotham the Arorite, Jediel the son of Shimri, and Joah his brother the Tizite, Eliel the Mahavite, Jerubai and Josaphi the sons of Elnam, and Ithma the Moabite, Eliel and Obad, and Jasiel the Mezobite. Chapter 12. Now these are those who came to David to Ziklag, while he yet kept himself close because of Saul the son of Kish, and they were among the mighty men, his helpers in war. They were armed with bows, and could use both the right hand and the left in slinging stones, and in shooting arrows from the bow. They were of Saul's brothers of Benjamin. The chief was Ahiezer, then Joash, the sons of Shema the Gibbethite, and Jeziel and Pelet, the sons of Azmaveth, and Barakah, and Jehu the Anothathite, and Ishmaiah the Gibeonite, a mighty man among the 30, and over the 30, and Jeremiah, and Jahaziel, and Johanan, and Jozabad the Gederathite, Eluzai, and Jeremoth, and Beliah, and Shemariah, and Shephatiah the Haruphite, Elkanah, and Ishiah, and Azarel, and Joazer, and Jeshobeam, the Korahites, and Joelah, and Zebadiah, the sons of Jeroham of Gedor. Of the Gadites there separated themselves to David to the stronghold in the wilderness, mighty men of valor, men trained for war, that could handle shield and spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and they were as swift as the roes on the mountains. Ezer the chief, Obadiah the second, Eliab the third, Mishmanah the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth, Attai the sixth, Eliel the seventh, Johanan the eighth, Elzabad the ninth, Jeremiah the 10th, Machbanai the 11th. These of the sons of Gad were captains of the host. He who was the least was equal to 100, and the greatest to 1,000. These are those who went over the Jordan in the first month, when it had overflowed all its banks, and they put to flight all them of the valleys, both toward the east and toward the west. There came of the children of Benjamin and Judah to the stronghold to David. David went out to meet them and answered them, If you come peaceably to me to help me, my heart shall be knit to you. But if you have come to betray me to my adversaries, seeing there is no wrong in my hands, the God of our fathers look thereon and rebuke it. Then the Spirit came on Amasai, who was chief of the 30, and he said, We are yours, David, and on your side, you son of Jesse. Peace, peace be to you, and peace be to your helpers, for your God helps you. Then David received them, and made them captains of the band. Of Manasseh also there fell away some to David when he came with the Philistines against Saul to battle. But they didn't help them, for the lords of the Philistines sent him away after consultation, saying, He will fall away to his master Saul to the jeopardy of our heads. As he went to Ziklag, there fell to him of Manasseh, Adnah, and Jozabad, and Jediel, and Michael, and Jozabad, and Elihu, and Zelathai, captains of thousands who were of Manasseh. They helped David against the band of rovers, for they were all mighty men of valor, and were captains in the host. For from day to day men came to David to help him, until there was a great host like the host of God. These are the numbers of the heads of those who were armed for war, who came to David to Hebron, to turn the kingdom of Saul to him, according to the word of the Lord. The children of Judah who bore shield and spear were 6,800, armed for war. Of the children of Simeon, mighty men of valor for the war, 7,100. Of the children of Levi, 4,600. Jehoiada was the leader of the house of Aaron, and with him were 3,700. And Zadok, a young man mighty of valor, and his father's house, 22 captains. Of the children of Benjamin, the brothers of Saul, 3,000. For hitherto the greatest part of them had kept their allegiance to the house of Saul. Of the children of Ephraim, 20,800, mighty men of valor, famous men in their fathers' houses. Of the half-tribe of Manasseh, 18,000, who were mentioned by name, to come and make David king. Of the children of Issachar, men who had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brothers were at their commandment. Of Zebulun, such as were able to go out in the host, who could set the battle in array, with all manner of instruments of war, 50,000, and who could order the battle, and were not of double heart. Of Naphtali 1,000 captains, and with them shield and spear, 37,000. Of the Danites, who could set the battle in array, 28,600. Of Asher, such as were able to go out in the host, who could set the battle in array, 40,000. On the other side of the Jordan, of the Reubenites and the Gadites, and of the half-tribe of Manasseh, with all manner of instruments of war for the battle, 120,000. All these, being men of war who could order the battle array, came with a perfect heart to Hebron to make David king over all Israel. And all the rest also of Israel were of one heart to make David king. They were there with David 3 days, eating and drinking, for their brothers had made preparation for them. Moreover, those who were near to them, even as far as Issachar and Zebulun and Naphtali, bought bread on donkeys, and on camels, and on mules, and on oxen, food of meal, cake of figs, and clusters of raisins, and wine and oil and oxen, and sheep in abundance, for there was joy in Israel. Chapter 13. David consulted with the captains of thousands and of hundreds, even with every leader. David said to all the assembly of Israel, If it seems good to you, and if it be of the Lord our God, let us send abroad everywhere to our brothers who are left in all the land of Israel, with whom the priests and the Levites are in their cities that have suburbs, that they may gather themselves to us. And let us bring again the ark of our God to us, for we didn't seek it in the days of Saul. All the assembly said that they would do so, for the thing was right in the eyes of all the people. So David assembled all Israel together, from the Shihor, the brook of Egypt, even to the entrance of Hamath, to bring the ark of God from Kiriath-Jearim. David went up, and all Israel, to Baalah, that is, to Kiriath-Jearim, which belonged to Judah, to bring up from there the ark of the Lord God that sits above the cherubim, that is called by the name. They carried the ark of God on a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab, and Uzzah and Ahio drove the cart. David and all Israel played before God with all their might, even with songs, and with harps, and with psalteries, and with tambourines, and with cymbals, and with trumpets. When they came to the threshing floor of Chidon, Uzzah put forth his hand to hold the ark, for the oxen stumbled. The anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and he struck him, because he had put forth his hand to the ark, and there he died before God. David was displeased because the Lord had broken forth on Uzzah, and he called that place Perez Uzzah to this day. David was afraid of God that day, saying, How shall I bring the ark of God home to me? So David didn't move the ark to him into the city of David, but carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. The ark of God remained with the family of Obed-Edom in his house 3 months, and the Lord blessed the house of Obed-Edom, and all that he had. Chapter 14. Hiram king of Tyre sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and masons, and carpenters to build him a house. David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, for his kingdom was exalted on high, for his people Israel's sake. David took more wives at Jerusalem, and David became the father of more sons and daughters. These were the names of the children whom he had in Jerusalem: Shammua and Shobab, Nathan and Solomon, and Ibhar and Elishua, and Eliphet, and Nogah and Nepheg, and Japhia, and Elishama, and Belihada, and Elephalet. When the Philistines heard that David was anointed king over all Israel, all the Philistines went up to seek David, and David heard of it and went out against them. Now the Philistines had come and made a raid in the valley of Rephaim. David inquired of God, saying, Shall I go up against the Philistines, and will you deliver them into my hand? The Lord said to him, Go up, for I will deliver them into your hand. So they came up to Baal Perazim, and David struck them there. And David said, God has broken my enemies by my hand, like the breach of waters. Therefore they called the name of that place Baal Perazim. They left their gods there, and David gave commandment, and they were burned with fire. The Philistines yet again made a raid in the valley. David inquired again of God, and God said to him, You shall not go up after them. Turn away from them, and come on them over against the mulberry trees. It shall be, when you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then you shall go out to battle, for God has gone out before you to strike the host of the Philistines. David did as God commanded him, and they struck the host of the Philistines from Gibeon even to Gezer. The fame of David went out into all lands, and the Lord brought the fear of him on all nations. Chapter 15. David made himself houses in the city of David, and he prepared a place for the ark of God, and pitched for it a tent. Then David said, None ought to carry the ark of God but the Levites, for them has the Lord chosen to carry the ark of God, and to minister to him forever. David assembled all Israel at Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the Lord to its place which he had prepared for it. David gathered together the sons of Aaron and the Levites, of the sons of Kohath, Uriel the chief, and his brothers, 120. Of the sons of Merari, Asaiah the chief, and his brothers, 220. Of the sons of Gershom, Joel the chief, and his brothers, 130. Of the sons of Elisaphan, Shemaiah the chief, and his brothers, 200. Of the sons of Hebron, Eliel the chief, and his brothers, 80. Of the sons of Uzziel, Aminadab the chief, and his brothers, 112. David called for Zadok and Abiathar the priest, and for the Levites, for Uriel, Asaiah, and Joel, Shemaiah, and Eliel, and Aminadab, and said to them, You are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites. Sanctify yourselves, both you and your brothers, that you may bring up the ark of the Lord, the God of Israel, to the place that I have prepared for it. For because you didn't carry it at the first, the Lord our God made a breach on us, because we didn't seek him according to the ordinance. So the priests and the Levites sanctified themselves to bring up the ark of the Lord, the God of Israel. The children of the Levites bore the ark of God on their shoulders with the poles, as Moses commanded according to the word of the Lord. David spoke to the chief of the Levites to appoint their brothers the singers, with instruments of music, psalteries and harps and cymbals, sounding aloud, and lifting up the voice with joy. So the Levites appointed Heman the son of Joel and his brothers, Asaph the son of Berechiah, and of the sons of Merari their brothers, Ethan the son of Cushiah, and with them their brothers of the second degree, Zechariah, Ben, and Jaziel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehiel, and Unai, Eliab, and Benaiah, and Maaseiah, and Mattathiah, and Alephalu, and Micaiah, and Obed-Edom, and Jael the doorkeepers. So the singers Heman, Asaph, and Ethan were appointed with cymbals of brass to sound aloud, and Zechariah, and Aziel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehiel, and Unai, and Eliab, and Messiah, and Benaiah, with psalteries set to Alamoth, and Mattathiah, and Alephalu, and Micaiah, and Obed-Edom, and Jael, and Azaziah, with harps tuned to the 8-string lyre to lead. Chenaniah, chief of the Levites, was over the song. He instructed about the song because he was skillful. Berechiah and Elkanah were doorkeepers for the ark. Shebaniah and Josaphat and Nethanel and Amasai and Zechariah and Benaniah and Eleazar the priest did blow the trumpets before the ark of God, and Obed-Edom and Jehiah were doorkeepers for the ark. So David and the elders of Israel and the captains over thousands went to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the house of Obed-Edom with joy. It happened, when God helped the Levites who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord, that they sacrificed 7 bulls and 7 rams. David was clothed with a robe of fine linen, and all the Levites who bore the ark, and the singers, and Chenaniah, the master of the song with the singers, and David had on him an ephod of linen. Thus all Israel brought up the ark of the covenant of the Lord with shouting, and with the sound of the cornet, and with trumpets, and with cymbals, sounding aloud with psalteries and harps. It happened, as the ark of the covenant of the Lord came to the city of David, that Michal the daughter of Saul looked out at the window, and saw King David dancing and playing, and she despised him in her heart.